Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and a very warm welcome to our second session of BNU Faculty Talk series. So today's topic is really interesting. The topic name is Generative AI, Artificial Intelligence, and its impact on education. My name is Sarah Khan, and I will be moderating the session for today. Let me just quickly introduce my wonderful colleagues and the speakers for today. So first up, we have Dr. Tahir Kamran. Professor Dr. Tahir Kamran is a notable Pakistani historian. He's currently the head of the Department of Liberal Arts here at Beacon House National University, Lahore. He's also the director of Kuldunia Center for Historical Research and the editor of the Pakistani Journal of Historical Studies. He regularly contributes op-ed for the news on Sunday. He has co-authored Colonial Lahore, A History of the City and Beyond with Ian Talbot, published by Hearst, London. And he's also edited a volume entitled Faith-Based Violence and the Deobandi Militancy, published by Palgrave and Macmillan. He's also authored Democracy and Governance in Pakistan. Dr. Kamran holds a PhD in history from the University of Punjab, and he's also been honored with multiple prestigious fellowships, including the fellowship at Wolfson College and the Allama Iqbal Professorial Fellowship at the University of Cambridge, UK. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. And our second speaker for today is Mr. Haris Badar. He's the assistant professor at the School of Media and Mass Communication here at BNU. He has an MA in International Journalism from Bournemouth University, UK, which is one of the best media schools in the world. He's also a freelance journalist and co-founder of an application called One Call App. He's also worked as a financial analyst at Mott MacDonald and for another organization called The Breaker as a reporter and a feature writer in England. He's also briefly worked with the news and has over 8 years of teaching experience. Thank you so much, Haris, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I will be handing over the forum to both of you. Let the discussion unfold. And if we have any questions, I will keep you both updated. To the audience who's watching, please feel free to post your comments or any questions for our panelists in the comment box. And let's just, start with the conversation. Over to both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah, for the intro. Time's up. I'll start with a question, and before that, just to put things in perspective, the idea of this talk is that we look into the philosophical and academic point of view when it comes to AI. So we wouldn't really get into the technicalities of AI, but rather look, at how it is going to impact modern education system. So, Dr. Tahir, in your opinion, just to begin with, and you can answer that briefly so that we can get the keywords from there and then take the conversation further. What are the challenges of generative AI vis-a-vis academia? Briefly, what's your take on it? What are the challenges that come into your mind?
Well, in order to thank you very much, thank you, Haris. Well, the thing is that. In fact, I wrote a couple of columns on this artificial intelligence, and despite the fact that I'm a historian by training. But a fellow historian who wrote books on, Sapien and Homo Deus, and then third book that he wrote, Yuval Noah Harari, is an Israeli historian. 21st Lessons for the 21st Century. When I was reading that book, I came across this theme, which really intrigued me a lot. He devoted a couple of chapters to artificial intelligence, and he looked at the phenomenon of artificial intelligence from historians' perspective. So it was quite interesting that that a historian who is a longue durée historian, as they say. He was dabbling into this recent phenomenon of artificial intelligence. So he was concerned about the increasing power of AI systems and their potential to manipulate and influence human behavior. And his argument was quite interesting. He says that computer systems now have a potential to gather vast amounts of data about individuals, enabling those to better analyze human emotions, desires, and weaknesses than most humans. Therefore, AI is substituting, rather replacing humans. Given this knowledge, AI systems could tailor personalized content and experiences to manipulate human decisions and actions. And he refers to this as the dictatorship of data. And that is very, very important when you were saying that, philosophical context to this phenomenon of AI. I think the dictatorship of data is something that we must be conscious about and we must be cognizant about. So a scenario where AI, algorithms possess the ability to control human choices, thoughts, and beliefs. So that is what the dictatorship of data implies. He also highlights the dangers of AI being controlled by centralized authorities such as government or a corporation, and that is what we are witnessing. Michel Foucault said a lot about this power and the dynamics of power and technology being used by a centralized authority to jeopardize the rights and the choices of the individual. In this scenario, AI systems could be used to monitor and control individuals, eroding personal freedoms and privacy and civil liberties, etc., etc. And that is what we are witnessing all around. You know, this famous movie on Manhattan Project. You know, this Oppenheimer. You know how things are manipulated. You know how in the name of national security, the individual rights are curbed. So this concentration of power in the hands of few could result in subjugation of masses. And when you don't have the scientific and cultural context, and nevertheless you borrow technologies, that technology generally act in disconjunction with your cultural and social ethos, as we are experiencing in our classrooms, particularly when we ask students to write reports or book reviews or what you call core essays or assignments. You know, they're mostly produced by ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
Whatever. So your own faculty and your own energy stays unrealized. So it is not properly tested. So that comfort that is accorded by this artificial intelligence, it is replacing the human being as an actor, as a central character of the society. So this society already, which is mechanized to a certain extent, it will be overpowered by AI. That's what my concern is.
All right. Dr. Tahir, you talked about ChatGPT and, masses making independent choices. And we see that there is a problem there. And that is mainly to do with social media also, because the algorithms are designed in such a way, because you're thinking about something, you're talking to someone, and that ad would pop up in front of your screen. So that's true. ChatGPT part, I would come to that later on. And that, by the way, is a very important aspect, and we are going to talk about it in a minute. But Dr. Tahir, just to put, if we see historically speaking, every time there was a new technology or a medium, let's say to begin with printing press, it posed a threat to the status quo of that time. And later on, with every medium, we have seen that they have felt that threat and they've sort of discouraged it. And later on, they taxed it and used it to their advantage. So similarly, I mean, we have seen that, and later on we have seen that the system or the bureaucracy or the education system, they have incorporated such technology into the curriculum and they have moved
Hmm.
on. For instance, Google,
Hmm.
before Google, when Google came in, the learning patterns changed. And we
Hmm.
thought that the students would not go to the libraries, they would
Hmm.
be there on the Google. But now we have
Hmm.
got the libraries, but the difference is we have got the computers there. So
Hmm.
should we be really scared of it in that regards, or we are just overthinking about it? That's one part of the question. Once you answer that, I'll come to the second part.
Well, I think if you just look into the history, the way those inventions were made, and then those inventions were put into place and executed, and certain social cultural pattern or social cultural order, certain patterns were engendered. On my study of South Asia and this divide and rule perpetuated by the colonial masters, the census and the classificatory model of science was one of the reasons that the society was polarized or rather atomized,
Mm-hmm.
in South Asia. Similarly, the phenomenon of loudspeaker. First of all, loudspeaker was banned, and there was a fatwa by Ashraf Ali Thanvi that it should not be practiced. Because the original voice of a muezzin or a khatib does not reach the ears of the
Even
listeners.
printing press,
But
sorry to
but but
interrupt you,
now
even printing press
that's
was
right.
down. Yeah.
Akbar said what his scribes will do if and same was the argument of the Ottomans. So what is important is that without having theoretical ethos that
Mm,
is produced by science and scientific inventions and scientific advancement, you bring in technology and that technology plays havoc with your social cultural patterns. Now, I am somewhat practicing Muslim, but the thing is that if someone is living next to a mosque, his life becomes nuisance. It's a loudspeaker. That's technology. And
yes.
second thing is that Islam, I have been teaching, and the inferences that I drew from various of my theoretical explorations have been that Islam itself is a modern Islam. The 21st century or 20th century Islam is a modernist project, and is punctuated by three or four inventions: loudspeaker, printing press, and rail. And fourth, if you jail also, because prior to modernity, all these instruments of modernist control didn't exist. So most of the books produced in South Asia were of religious nature. Loudspeaker was used mostly by the religious preachers. And then railway provided a linkage. If something happened in Kanpur, its implication could be felt in Peshawar. And then jail. In Khilafat movement, lots of ulama was sent to jail, and it provided the resistance, the politics of resistance, which was championed by the religious parties. So your ethos was completely changed. The man-to-man relationship underwent a change.
Mm, mm.
So,
So
so if technology is adopted without giving proper attention or cognizance to your social-cultural patterns and social-cultural ambit, then that technology becomes perilous,
yep, yep,
potential.
Dr. That, as you said, that you looked at into the cultural aspect of it, and you said that social cultural patterns are distorted. All right.
Hmm.
So the key word for me here is the culture as the
Yeah, yeah,
cultural
yes.
aspect. So
Hmm.
so so perhaps there's not much wrong with the technology, but with the current culture that we are living in here.
Hmm.
And if you look
Yes.
at artificial intelligence
Hmm.
globally, perhaps
Hmm.
they are using the technology in a far more intelligent manner, let's say in England. or in Canada or in US, where it actually belongs. Organically, it's theirs. So perhaps it is not really a problem for them, but maybe a problem for us and for our academia and curriculum. Is that correct?
Well, I will accept your assertion with the pinch of salt because there are two, lots of philosophers like, nowadays he is my favorite philosopher. I read him quite a lot, A.C. Grayling. And as I said earlier, Michel Foucault, they have been complaining quite a lot about this panoptica model. Panoptica is the model adopted. That panoptica was used by Jeremy Bentham in the 19th century, but that was revisited by Michel Foucault, saying that the state is controlling us. State is controlling because collectivity, the balance between our equilibrium that is very, very necessary to be struck between individual and collectivity, that becomes lopsided with the introduction of technology. If in our society, if you are to be tracked, it's very easy that you use your WhatsApp or you use your email and you're tracked. You're tracked. You're picked up and you're sent. I don't know where. So I think that space that is needed by an individual, space to exercise this individual will, it has been squeezed, not only in Pakistan but all around.
The rest of the world, yeah.
So that is one aspect of looking at it. And I think that aspect needs to be emphasized in order to instill awareness among the people that unless you have a social sensibility which is quite honed and which is sensitivized to a certain level, and that technology becomes very, very dangerous.
So in other words, we got to teach the students, and it should be part of the curriculum so that they develop that sense of responsibility while they're using the technology. Otherwise, whatever that data is being collected by these apps, for instance, WhatsApp, it doesn't have ads in it. They do not make money, but what they get is the data.
Data,
so
of course,
becomes,
and Haris, another thing is that neo-imperialism is strengthening itself because all your information is being gathered and stored by somewhere, which can and they can use it to control us, our policies, and our will to exist and our life pattern and everything. So in a way, technology, without inculcating the sense of responsibility and accountability, if that that data is used by the new imperial powers, you're going to be besieged for indefinite period, and how would you get rid of it? How would you get your freedom back? Only God knows.
Yes, that is where I was about to go. That it is inevitable that
That's right.
that you're going to survive without the technology, because the whole ecosystem is designed in such a way that you need technology. And when you need technology, you are going to share your data anyway. So all you can do is that, as you said earlier, that we can just produce intelligent students.
Users of that. That's right.
Yes, and thinking individuals who can use this technology intelligently and be aware of it, that what could be the ramifications or the repercussions of it. Anyway,
exactly.
Yeah, and this one aspect which is regarding the ChatGPT. As I said, I would come to that later on. Then again, Michel Foucault part, I would also want to talk about that later on, vis-a-vis communication and how text travels and it loses its sense, and why, and how technology is a big problem there when it comes to text or any information which has traveled thousands of years, how it is losing its meaning. Then again, taking your point from Michel Foucault. So before I go there, just in a chronological order, On 6th of April, MIT Technology Review, there was this article published, and it said that they have a lot of worries, they have a lot of cons and apprehensions and reservations vis-a-vis artificial intelligence and of course ChatGPT, because it doesn't build, and the words they use, critical thinking and problem solving skills. So that's two keywords for you. Then afterwards, on 28th of April, there was another article in the Independent, and there was this student who got an F grade, and she went on TikTok and she made a video of herself saying that I should have used ChatGPT because I've got 0 in her philosophy essay. So that happened on the 28th of April. On the 4th of July, then Russell Group, which is, for the audience, it has got 24 leading universities, include Oxford, Cambridge, London School of Economics, University of Edinburgh, Warwick, King's College. These are one of the best universities in the world. They allowed the students to use generative AI. And they said the idea is to teach them how to critically engage with generative AI, which perhaps you were trying to suggest earlier, so that they use it, then again, intelligently. So what I get out of this is that in November it came in, they were quite worried to begin with. Till April, they were really worried and discouraging it. And in July, they thought that they need to, incorporate this technology within the curriculum. Now, maybe I'm saying it out loud, I'm not sure, that maybe they have understood from the past that this is how the technology operates, so let's just accept it. Or they're still confused. In my opinion, and I'll take your opinion also, I don't think they really realize that they know as yet that where it will go, because AI is very strong and powerful, and it can influence and sway public opinion. But it has got the potential. In my opinion, it is not there as yet. Sir, your take on it?
Well, I think Russell Group has taken its decision. As we met the other day, and that theme cropped up. So I have my reservations on this decision, and I think Russell Group and all the academics involved in this decision, or the decision-making body in UK, must be left with no choice but to accept it. Technology leaves you, at times it leaves you with little choice, So your ideas are being configured, your ideas are being inculcated, instilled by technological devices quite a lot, like you're talking about Google. Even if I have to learn about Hirwarisha, I go to Google and look at Wikipedia, and that is the source, initial fundamental source of knowledge. So I think this artificial intelligence and technology has gone many steps ahead in controlling the will of the people and the decision making that is to be done by the humans, and that is. And another thing is, which is very important to me, is so far as learning experience is concerned, is very, very important to make mistakes. When you make you make mistakes, you commit errors. Those errors are rectified, they're corrected, and that's how you progress. In self-evolution, that is very, very important phase as in our pedagogy, in our teaching experiences. If you are afraid of making mistakes, then you cannot grow. So this technology robs of humans to exercise this option of committing mistake, which is, I think, many people will think that, I have gone crazy saying this, but
No,
I
you're
think
absolutely right. I think most of the people would
very,
agree.
very important. Yeah. Yes. I have been, when I started writing for newspapers from 1988, so Iqbal Jafri sir was the editor of Pakistan Times. So no one used to write for Pakistan Times, and no one used to publish us. So it was a good conflation of interest between Pakistan Times and no writers like me. So he used to just paint my script red with corrections and all that. And then he used to advise me that, don't take it, don't get disheartened by this. You just look at where you committed mistakes and try to improve upon it. And read such people. That's very, very necessary for your self-rectification and your epistemic evolution. So I took that advice. Now, whenever I have to read an assignment of undergrad student, I feel like asking him or her that, I want to be your student because you write much better than me. And how that piece of writing comes about, it's through Grammarly, it's corrected by Grammarly, or then Chat GPT, or then, a few people lift essays from University of Wisconsin's, archives. So how one gets to know that the same paper on Immanuel Kant was written in 1960s by somebody at University of Wisconsin. So all this has posed a problem which is unprecedented. But this is one concern that I'm really quite worried about. And second is this that as we are advancing forward temporally, the choice options that human used to exercise, they are getting limited. These are two major, your learning impediment of impediment that is causing that technology is causing. That is a big impediment, and we will have to come to grips with it. And second is that freedom. The option for a human to exercise its freedom. And with freedom comes responsibility that is as important as anything else. So these two things are really staring in our face, and still one doesn't have any idea how to respond to such a situation, such a daunting situation.
Dr. Tahir, back in 2009, I saw this video on YouTube. I think 2009 and 2010. It titled "Smartphones and Dumb People." It's really nice video. I would want everybody to see that. And that is mainly concerned with social intelligence, and that social intelligence part, that's one, because technology has sort of diminished that, and we see now that people hardly interact. If you're traveling in the West, initially at the bus stops, people would talk to each other. Now they all are glued to their phones. In underground stations. Yeah. Now nobody talks. Back then, they used to communicate with each other. That develops, social intelligence. But on your opinion on social intelligence, communication skills, and connecting with Michel Foucault later on, that is, I'm keeping that part in the end. All right. So before we get done with the Chat GPT part, I just want to say or share my knowledge on it or my information on it. And I haven't got the expertise in it. But this is what I've understood, because I've used ChatGPT to really see. I've engaged with it, so that to see how it works. So this is how it goes. Look, ChatGPT, it's not a thought structure. They call it LLM, large language model. All right. So it cannot constitute a thought out of it. So it's a large LLM language model. So, and it has got a lot of variables in it, which are based on published documents and data online, which necessarily do not need to be correct, because every rubbish or gibberish is also out there. So anything beyond that, anything beyond the data that is available, it fails to answer. For instance, I'll give you one example. I made this one stupid question this morning to ChatGPT, the paid version. And I asked, what if the sky turns red what will happen to humankind, or what will be the impact. It started, it, it gave the answers which were not really stupid, but scientific, but it missed the point of the question. All right.
Yes.
So it is still not there as yet. They are collecting the data, but 15 years or 20 years down the line, it might be there, because data has to turn into information. Information has to turn into a thought, and thought has to turn into wisdom. So it's a long way to go up till now. So if anyone who knows the subject can use ChatGPT intelligently, otherwise it is going to give you generic answers, and that answers could be wrong too, because the technology doesn't know the context of the question. So therefore comes the point where how you're going to phrase the question, because you've got to be clear what your question is. And if you're getting the wrong answer, you should know that I haven't asked the right question. So therefore, prompt engineers are really required. So in times to come, in next 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years down the line, there is one field or scope where people should go, and which I'm going to ask you now. That is the communication part, your communication skills, and because of technology, how social intelligence is deteriorating. So the question is the communication skills and your social intelligence, how they are going in time to come in future, let's say 5 years down the line, with ChatGPT and other technologies that are there.
Well, that's very, thank you very much. That was very interesting, and it was very pertinent, piece of information, and your analysis imparted to us. I was just reading Hannah Arendt, which is my favorite political thinker, political theorist. One thing that she mentions, and I just wrote it in one of my op-eds, what do you call columns in a modern journalistic terms? Op-ed or ep-ed or what?
So op-ed is opposite to the editorial page, and sometimes people call it that it is an opinion, but an editorial, but actually it is opposite to the editorial page.
Column.
Column maybe, yeah, or a feature.
She says that that now as science or technology is being advanced, and particularly mathematics being a mother of all sciences, it is developing its own language. But that language has becoming a hazard in this act of communication. Therefore, mathematical knowledge, or in a general context, the scientific knowledge is depoliticizing people. Why? Because politicization, the act of politicization, needs a language with which you can share your sentiments, your political opinions, your choices, and so on and so forth. So, when you say that is some device that is engaged with the language system or language mechanism, so that language mechanism is robbing you from your inherent ability to phrase questions and to answer those questions. So, what if, the other day we were talking about it. What if all these algorithms or all this AI mechanism develops its own consciousness? Then obviously it is going to control everything. Now it's controlling so many things, like your tax returns, your ID cards are being created by such networks, and what else? Creditworthiness, job opportunities, medical insurance coverage. All is being done by this AGI, artificial general intelligence. And if it develops its own consciousness, then obviously human beings will be redundant. So that is the real concern, and I'm rather endorsing whatever you said. I have no argument to say otherwise, and because I strictly believe in whatever I'm saying and whatever you have said. So we have concurrence on this. That despite the fact that there are so many benefits of AIG or artificial intelligence or chat GPT, but but the creative effort that humans have been engaged with so far, that creative effort will be taken over by AIG. Like, what if artificial intelligence enables itself to produce a poetry of such kind as
with the likes
T.S.
of any
Eliot.
great writer, Shakespeare.
T.S. Eliot, T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, or Iqbal's Shikwa Jawabi Shikwa, that level of a poetry.
Yeah.
So then your emotions will even become controlled by them. Yeah. Your emotions, your feelings, your everything. Feeling-wise, people are different now than what they have been when Mirza Ghalib was around.
True.
So in what way we have commonalities with those people existing in the 19th century or 18th century? I think none.
Yeah. And that has to do with economic models also. And now we are living in the consumerism world, so everything gets superficial. Let it be emotions, let it be anything. So I understand that part. But as we discussed earlier, there's this consensus that it is inevitable. And whatever your fears are right now, in my opinion, and then again, I say that, I can't be wrong, but I think there's some time left, 10 or 15 years, but that is nothing, as, if we see that.
One is not sure what is there in the 6 months time. 15 years is far too lengthy a temporal process.
Yeah, nobody would have thought about assignments before November 2022 until ChatGPT came. But in my opinion, because since I've started engaging with it, and I just wanted to learn it so that I would know what students are doing, and then again for my interest also. So what it does is that, for instance, if you are trying to find answers, you go to Google. On Google, you would have to make an effort for about 45 minutes to an hour to get the right results, get the right answers. What ChatGPT does is that it gives you right away, because it collects the data instantaneously and gives you right away. But then again, when we are looking for things on Google, we come across pages which are on the first page, but their information is not necessarily correct. So that's one point. So the point which is really, really important for someone like me also, and the chat that we had the other day, and I felt that it was a huge concern for you also. And on the open day also, you talked about it. Our communication skills, let it be verbal, let it be written. And with that, of course, it is correlated with our social intelligence, which has been the primarily purpose of university education right now, because everything is there. Everything is online. But social intelligence and communication, sir, how do you relate that?
Social communication and
social intelligence, sir.
Social intelligence, yes. Social intelligence
and communication.
And communication. Well, I think this public sphere, like in my childhood, I used to come across people who were not educated per se, but they were socially very intelligent. Like you were mentioning this experiences that one has while traveling in the tube or in the bus station and everything. Locally, I have found out that Nai Ki Dukaan had been such a site of interaction. People used to come. One who was literate. He used to read newspaper to the rest of the people, and then there used to be a commentary on that and interaction, and that interaction was very, very useful. Similarly, Dipesh Chakravarti, historian from Chicago University, he has produced a very famous chapter in his book Provincializing Europe, and that chapter is entitled Adda. Adda is in Calcutta. Adda is a place where people used to get together and they discuss things. So that's the public sphere.
Here in Pakistan or in Punjab, better.
Here we have Thada. We have Thada. People used to sit and discuss, and if you talk about politics to a Tangawala, he will give you his own opinion with a lot of confidence and all that. That is coming from a local folk wisdom, whatever he will say, but he will have a lot of sense in it. That communication and that interaction and that social intelligence comes about when you interact with the people, and you have freedom to interact. You have freedom to say contrary, to articulate contrary point of views. When we talk about public sphere in the sense of Habermas, like party house or coffee house or chopal or people gathering together around hookah in villages and talking about certain things. That had a lot of sagacity and whatever they had been saying. Like my Nana, who was marginally educated, but he had a lot of insightful things to say, and one learned quite a lot. Picking up things from Gulistan, Bostan of Sadi.
After the modern era, it has started to fade away. The old wisdom
of
is
course,
going.
and another thing is that this ability of a people to tell stories, that has been dissipated away.
Such an important point.
And I think this SMS or message, which is one-liner, that has reduced the concentration span of a people and ability to tell stories, because the story is a longer version. It has its own conclusion, it has its own characters, and you need to have a creative ability to weave that story and then tell it. This has now, how many novels you come across have been written in Urdu for last 20 years or so? Very few. Similarly, after Munir Niazi or Ahmed Fraz died, your poetry is in a state of decline. Why? Because this creative impulse, it comes from your socio-cultural ethos through communication and through interaction with the people. You see people behaving in certain ways, and then you pick up certain ideas from there. That is no longer available. People are so busy, sitting in front of the screens, whether it's TV screen or your smartphone screen or your laptop. And,
the irony is they say they're busy.
Yeah, they're busy. We three people living in the same house. Everyone is busy on their own screens, not interacting with each other. So I think that's a big cause of a social decline that we witness all around us, and that impedes this social intelligence, this process of social intelligence, which comes through communication. And that was a wonderful question that you put.
All right. So as you said, you gave the reference of Habermas' theory of public sphere. Now he said that once people are talking about any subject, or could be any political issue or any social issue in coffee shops, or as you said, Thada. So then it accumulates and a public opinion is formed. All right. It's more complex than that, but I'm making it simpler. What if I say that Twitter, TikTok, and other platforms are also operating in the same manner, but they are not just in the coffee shops. And they're talking about such serious subjects, but not there in the coffee shops or in restaurants, or maybe in as you said, thoda. But they are talking about those subjects digitally. So what difference is there? I'm just asking a question, not to negate your point of view, but only I'm trying to look at the other point of view or their point of view, that it doesn't make much difference.
Yes, that's very right. Yeah, yes. For instance, hypothetically speaking, if I'm talking to Intezar Hussain via Twitter, technically your question holds water, and I would not have any argument to negate it. It's a very, very good question, incisive question, and you have a point. That interaction can take place through Twitter and the internet, but my own point is that if I'm talking to Intezar Hussain via Twitter, how much would I be learning from him? And if I go there and his better can talk to him and spend 3 hours in his company, so all the impressions that I will gather and the impact that will be rubbed off on me, only 5 minutes left. So so you can very well imagine, or Khurshidul Hasan Rizvi Sahab, he is the Arabic professor, but he talks on everything under the sun in such an incisive way. I've learned quite a lot from him. So personal, this man-to-man or person-to-person relationship that has been severed. We are very happy because we both of my kids are abroad and we are constantly in touch with them. There's a blessing, big blessing for us. But then, the people living in Lahore, I don't see them, even three years' time. Why? Because we are in touch on via Twitter or SMS and so on and so forth. So that personal connection is lost, and society and social relationship and social ethos comes about through personal connections. Personal connections, which is not mediated by any machinery or by any gadget. No. So that may be found as a redundant idea or the obsolete idea, but I think person-to-person connection, that is very, very important for a public sphere to and to generate some sort of an impact. That might be the answer to your very, very intelligent question, and I congratulate you on that. You can be a tough person, as an interviewer.
So now, just to wrap this up, I'll give my opinion on
Sure.
AI and ChatGPT, and then I would ask Dr. Tahir also that what he has to say on that. Now, in my opinion, as Dr. Tahir said, that Russell Group has accepted, because what else they could have done? Similarly, here in Pakistan also, it is there, and we cannot stop them. The difference is the cultural difference, as Dr. Tahir highlighted in our earlier discussion, that there's this cultural aspect. So to really understand that how our students, they operate and they are conditioned, we got to design it or come up with a balance where this technology can be incorporated. Now that is something which needs a lot of discussion, but how it can be incorporated so that they understand the technology. Once they would understand it, they would use their mind critically also, and they would know, yeah, this is wrong. All right. And the teachers also, they also need to realize that what are the loopholes in it. Even if the teachers do not know, they would find the answers that these are taken from the technology. But so that's my take, and I think there's some time left. As Dr. Tahir said, you cannot say what is going to happen 6 months down the line, but there is realizing the structure that they have to store the data. It is not there as yet. For instance, they have got electric cars in England. Porsche has designed a car which can charge the car in about 15 minutes. Only 4 stations in whole UK which can charge. So the infrastructure isn't there, and technology is moving.
That's very right. And I think I said it earlier also on open day that the first and the foremost thing is that as Plato has got it engraved on the main entrance of academy, know thyself.
Yes.
We don't know ourselves. So if we are socially responsible, that responsibility comes by exploring our own culture and our own social realities. That is what is badly missing. So this, whenever this technology operates in a vacuum, it becomes dictator. It acts like a dictator. It then saps all your energies and your creative impulses. So that is what we have to watch against. Using technology with social responsibility, I think it's a blessing. But it acts quite the otherwise if you don't know about your own self, about your own social realities around you, and that technology. Then the terrorism has intensified, and what is aiding those terrorist people is the technology, and they are far more advanced in technology than the common people around in Pakistan. And with the help of this technology, they can be very, very lethal. And they have proven it time and again. So you must be cognizant of it. So technology using with responsibility, that is a challenge confronting us, whether we will come up to it or not, or we just throw away this opportunity of using technology with social responsibility to our benefit. That is yet to be seen.
That is where it should be wrapped up. That's the bottom line, as Tahir Saab said. So using technology with social responsibility. That's the most important point. Yes, Sarah, if there is any question, please throw at us. If not,
it was a very enlightening conversation, and I'm sure the audience enjoyed it as much as I did. We didn't really get any questions, but if any questions come up later, I will post.
Well, I was expecting that.
But thank you so much.
People are so responsive to such discussions. That happens only in Pakistan, the land of the pure.
But thank you so much once again, Dr. Tahir, for joining us and for your time and effort. And to everybody who's watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Inshallah, we'll be back soon with another exciting episode of BNU Faculty Talk series. Thank you so much and have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.